Hey guys, I'm Kimla Simone and this is Own Your Balance. Now I've thought about what balance means to me, and it is that thing that brings calm to you, the thing that enhances you. And over the years, being a PK kid, PK, a pastor's child, I have come to realize that there are different things that balances different people. And so I've admired some things about some friends of mine and people that I know. We're going to have conversations about finding that balance and owning it. Something that I admire about you. And I'm like, that balances your life. Does it bring you does it bring joy to your life? Does it enhances who you are? Does it bring calm to you? And so along this way, we will have discussions with them, as well as I'll just have discussion talking to you, talk about things that I see or I understand what balance is. And so along this journey, we will learn from each other. And so that our lives can be more enhanced and we can become better people, knowing what balances us. And as we go along this way, I'll learn from you, you learn from me, and we will learn how to balance our life, how we can find it, and how we can enhance it. Hey guys, this is Kimla Simone, Own Your Balance, and we're here today with a very beautiful person, and this is Dawn. I have known her for a few years now, and it has been my absolute pleasure to invite her to this platform. She has been through some things, and we are going to be talking to her about some of those life challenges that she has faced and how she has overcome them, how she has found balance along the way in the endeavors that she has gone through, all the challenges that she has faced, how each of those challenges and what she has found to be the thing that kept her together, right? Because it may not be the same thing that kept her together for each of the different nuances that has happened in her life.
True.
So the first time I met Dawn in person, I was blown away by her beauty. I must tell you, I was like, oh my God, she's absolutely gorgeous. Don't forget it, you had braids, and it was at Kasha Park, Glad Bible College, and I was like, oh my God, she's so beautiful. So, with that, I loved you so much. And the fact that you went to Newlands, and I felt that you made makeup, because she's also a makeup artist. She owns a school, she runs a school that is a magnificent school, that she is a principal of a Dawn Marie Institute, and they are wonderful. You gotta check them out. Check out the websites. It's beautiful. We'll have it down in the bottom where you could take a look at it. But when she just went back to Jamaica from the US, she went to Newlands, and I was very impressed with how she approached makeup with church people, because it was not a thing that was really an accepted area.
Right.
And so she brought makeup. I think that she brought so much confidence to the young people and to even the older adults that, weren't even thinking about makeup or think that it was something that they would have been interested in. But I was so impressed with how she worked in there and got it done, with such grace and humility. And I must say, even my mom would put some lipstick on, which was crazy. So we're going to introduce Dawn to you. We're going to get to have a little corner, get to know her a little bit, and I have a little fun questions. So here goes. Her name is Dawn Lindo Petgrave, or Dawn Petgrave Lindo, right? And so we're going to call her Dawn because...
Well, it's only Petgrave.
Only Petgrave now. Okay, so it's Dawn Petgrave.
Yes.
Say Dawn, okay? So let's get corner. So Dawn, what is your favorite verse?
My favorite verse is Proverbs 18:16. A man's gift make room for him and bring him before great men.
Absolutely. Why is it so?
Because God has blessed me with so many giftings. And I think over the years, I almost bury my gifts because they didn't feel like traditionally what we consider gifts. I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't do all the fancy things we consider giftings. But then God has blessed me with the gift of understanding beauty And the gift of love, I really feel the way I love people is a gift. And it makes sense why I am a therapist, because I absolutely love people. And then it makes sense why I am a beauty professional, because most of the time when persons, Kimla, when you're going through some situation, you don't have the answers, but you're still responsible for self-care. And that's where beauty comes in.
As a matter of fact, and I'm so glad you brought that up, that, you also are a therapist. You also help people that's two parts, the makeup therapist part, and to put that together to become one thing. When you're going through hard times, you still need to put your best face forward. And, it brings your confidence out, and it brings up your attitude as well. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you never know who's looking up to you. Absolutely. I think this is something that we don't understand. You never know who's looking up to you. And so it is so important that we understand the importance of self-care and learning to cope through life challenges.
Absolutely. So life has hit you in many areas, having to leave your family abroad and going back to Jamaica, right? So how was that move for you? And what kind of emotions did you experience being back in Jamaica?
All right, so how was the move for me? And to be honest, Kim, I haven't spoken about this publicly before, actually, but the reason I came back to Jamaica was because my green card got canceled. So my mom had petitioned for me, and then, so when somebody petitioned for you, you have your driver's license, your work permits, and all those things. And then within that process, I got married. I had come to Jamaica and I got married, and I did not know that that would have canceled out the approved petition. And, it's so funny because that was done based upon counsel. I spoke with an attorney and he goes, oh no, you'll be all right. As a matter of fact, you can put him and your son, because by then I had Sergio, you can put him and your son on the documents when you submit the final documents. And I thought, okay, great. So we did that. And then I found out,
wow,
oops, you have no status. And I was given the opportunity to file a petition, but if I filed and failed the petition, then I would fall into the deportation, and I didn't want that. So I just decided I was going to pack up and I was going to move home. And so you can just imagine that has to have been devastating, because at the time, when I talk about at the peak of my career, I was at the peak of my career as a cosmetic department manager at Dillard's. So I specifically worked for Clinique Cosmetics within Dillard's, and I had just completed my interview to move into the head office in New York.
Wow.
And I love New York. And this was a big deal. And all of this was now happening. And I remember just saying, you know what, God, I have lived for you. And if this is your doing, then I'm just gonna surrender. I really didn't feel the push to fight this case. I just didn't feel the push. And so I packed up and I moved to Jamaica. But the Sunday before I came, a gentleman after church pulled me aside and he says, I know you think you made the decision to go to Jamaica, but I wanted to know that God has ordained you to Jamaica. And this was his way of getting you to move there. And I held on to that because it brought some form of comfort to me. And I think that it told me that God was going to take care of me. You know what I mean? He was going to take care of me. And I just packed up and came back.
Oh, wow. So as you're saying that, I'm thinking that caused you some form of balance, because the balance that I'm thinking about is one that enhances your life and one that brings calm to your life. Is that inner peace that you feel, that balance that comes. And with him telling you that, it brought balance to the situation, right?
It did. It sure did. My other camera is acting up. It did. God is never going to leave us comforted, and I need somebody to understand this right now. And Kim, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for doing this, because there's so many women, men too, but I think this really is a platform that is going to bless our women, because I think they need to hear from other women, you know, that we're all in this together. God is never going to leave you comfortless. And so that man speaking over my life that Sunday in church, that was my last service that I was going to have at my church, you know, that was what I held on to.
Yes.
So even when I came back to Jamaica and I couldn't find a job and nothing was working out for me, I kept reminding myself that the Lord said he is sending me here. Now, what do I need to do while I'm here? And who do I need to become while I'm here? And that was my focus.
Good. Oh, I love that. You know, so you had all those emotions, you went back to Jamaica, you couldn't find a job, right? No. In the meantime, you were doing makeup, you were teaching young girls about makeup, you became a part of a community. You didn't just stand back and just say, oh, well, I don't have a job, I'm not doing anything. You became a part of a community. You started building friendships, you started building your life. And then at what point did you realize that the makeup business could become your business?
So let me back up a little bit, Kimla. It was because I could not find a job why I started doing makeup.
Okay.
Right. So I sent out resumes everywhere and no one would hire me. Mind you, I'm like, but I have degrees, a couple of them. Nobody would hire me. And so one morning in my devotion, I could just hear the Lord talking to me about giftings, you know. My devotional that morning actually was the story of the man who went and hid the one talent, right, in Matthew. And then the Lord just started talking to me about giftings. And just like I'm like, I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't understand what the gifting is. Kimla, just like you and I are talking, it's almost like there was somebody else just reminding me that you are a trained makeup artist and you are a trained teacher. Right. Maybe you could do something. And so I decided that maybe I could start a makeup school. And so I started doing the research just to see what already existed, what were they teaching, what were they covering. And I found out that there was just this gap of people who are professionals who would love to learn a skill, but really have no interest in going to school for 1 year or 2 years. And so that was the market that I started, to develop. Yes. And yes, I started with them girls over at Newland. I mean, I remember one Sunday I saw Sigil. That was who I saw. I didn't know her name, but I wrote a note and I gave it to the usher. And I said, can you give this? And I pointed out. And on the piece of paper, I put name and number, right? Asking her for her name and number. And so she sent it. And I called her and I just chit chat with her a little bit. And then I met Shaniel and then I met Delissa. And so we just all became friends and they would come to the house and I would put makeup on them. And, to this day, Delissa still sits on the board. She is the company secretary. I can't sign a document without Delissa. These girls are still in my life. And it has been such a blessing. And so they helped me through some tough moments also. When I needed babysitting, when I get one little gig done on my bed and you need somebody, these girls were babysitting for me.
Okay, so you started doing the makeup and you're doing the research and all of that is happening, right? So
yes.
How did you get to that point where you're like, okay, you need money to open a business, you need finances to get to this place, you need a space to get to where you're seeing yourself, correct? You had
Okay.
get this vision and now you gotta go into it. How did you proceed?
All right. So let me say this. A lot of times we don't pursue our desires, our dreams, our goals because it's not clear. Like we don't have all the ingredients, and that's the biggest mistake. The Bible says, without a vision, the people perish. So that tells me that what I need first and foremost is the vision.
Absolutely.
Right? And I had the vision. So once I had the vision, I honestly just believed that if God dropped this thing in my spirit, he's going to open up the doors and show me what is the next step. And so a friend of mine, Pastor Johnson from Solid Base Group of Schools, he had a school. He's the only person I know that owns a school. So I reached out to him and I asked if he rented classrooms. And he says, no, what do you need classroom for? And I told him, and he said, Dawn, just come over to school. Anywhere you see a room fit, just use it. So Kimla, when I went, first of all, you're going to teach makeup, you know, you need air conditioner, at least one fan. Yes. The only room that had a fan was a grade 1 classroom with a little baby seats. That was the room. Yes. That was the room. So we started out in that grade 1 classroom, October 2009. The next thing I want to point out is that not because God gives you a vision, you think he's going to throw the manna from heaven. You have to get up and you have to do the work, all right? Faith without work is death. So I did the work. In addition to the market research, I did flyers on my own computer and print them out on regular paper at home. And I walked every salon across Spanish Town, every plaza that has a nail tech, a barber shop, a hair salon. And I was just introducing myself to people. And I told them, this is what I'm going to be doing if you know somebody, if you know somebody, if you know somebody. Yes. Well, the day come for school to open and one girl show up. And I was excited because somebody trusts me enough to show up. And that was how we started.
I love that. I love that you didn't sit on it because, you know, a lot, as you said, a lot of times we see something that we want to do. We feel this in our heart. It's something that even you gave you a seed and now you have to go and plant it and let it become a tree, right? And then sit back because we're like, where are we going to get the money from? But so like this, I'm happy that now we can find out, like we need to know, now we know how to go ahead and pursue. You just don't sit down and allow things to just come out of the air. You have to work. Right. And I'm glad that you had made friends that were able to help you along the journey, were there for you, for the baby.
Women friends. Very important.
Absolutely, because it has gotten a bad rap over the years.
Yes. Unfortunately, you know, many of us still suffer from self-images and low self-esteem and all these things. And we miss the fact that women coming together can change nations, not just communities, right? And Kofi Annan said this. He said, when women are empowered, all of society thrive. And if our sisters, there is something that you can help me with that no boyfriend, no husband, a male cannot help me with. Only another sister can understand that core, you know? And I learned of this term that is used in construction called sistering. And what sistering is, Kimla, is when you take two before. Well, for those who are not Jamaicans, 2x4, you know, 2 of that, put it together to strengthen a foundation. It's called sistering. So if many of us start coming together to sister each other versus to tear each other down, look upon her, she go on like she better than anybody, because I had to deal with that. I had to deal with many persons who were, you know, within the church community. You know, they may see me on TV, they may see me in the newspaper, and to them, she hypey, but they don't get to even know me. You understand? I was never about the limelight. I still am not about the limelight. It's just that what I do bring me into the presence of
Absolutely.
the cameras. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. So I love that. It is going to keep, I love the fact that we can talk about women and sisterhood, and that there's still great friendships with women, and it is worth having, and it is worth going after, because if it causes a balance to come to your life, what a man can't do, what a husband can't do, girls, we bring balance to each other.
Absolutely.
So I love that. How did you know it was your passion?
Do you know how I knew? Oh my goodness. I would have done it for free. As a matter of fact, I'm still out of free work. I could get up and it's so funny because I will be in the supermarket and just see a lady, and I will find a way to tell her how she can better take care of her skin without her seeing me as being presumptuous, or I don't know. It's just, I see people, I see their skin. I stopped a lady the other day. I said, when was the last time you slept? And she goes, Lord, I can't even tell. I said, how you know that? And I started pointing out to her that her skin, her face was telling so many stories. All right. And so when I start seeing how many women were becoming a little bit more confident because they were learning to take better care of themselves. Right. And it's not about covering up with makeup. That's not what it's about. It's about lifestyle. It's about, if you drink more water, your skin is going to look better. If you add some moisturizer, you're not going to wrinkle as fast. It's the little things, And when person understand that they can look better, you feel better, and you're just automatically more productive.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, man, passion, mad bud.
Awesome. So they're back in Jamaica. You're a mother of 3. You are married, and you started this business, and life happened. More of life happens.
More of life happens.
That happens, and now you are facing a divorce.
Yes.
Right? How did you get to that point where you're like, this relationship is over? I am not going to stay in this relationship any longer. What brought you to that place to say, okay, this is the end of this?
Kimla, so in 2017, now my ex had migrated 2016, and we were dealing with a lot of stuff, just a lot of stuff. And when I talk about it, I wish there's a way that I could tell the story without involving anybody else. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people might feel like you're trying to make other people look bad, and that's not what it is. I'm just expressing and sharing what I went through. So my marriage went through a lot of affairs. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 or 3. It was just a lot. And I kept forgiving, because that's what you do, right? And I never spoke about it to anybody, not even to my family, because in my head, the marriage vow says for better or for worse. So I just see these bad stuff as the worst times, and you're supposed to try to make it work through the worst times, right? But the saying really is true, that a woman leaves a relationship before she actually leaves.
Correct.
And I think that's what started happening to me. I started feeling so insignificant. I started feeling like, you don't love me. You can't love me. This is not how you treat somebody that you love, So when the idea of migrating came up, I didn't want to migrate because the business was just now doing well. The children were in school. My son was going to start the high school of his dreams. And I'm like, are you sure this is the right time to move? And, he said this is something that he has always wanted to do. And I didn't think it was fair to talk him out of it. So my job again was to help. So I helped, supported that move with the hope that maybe within 6 months of him going, get settled, then we could go. My plan was we'll go, but I'll come back and forth to run the business and so forth.
Absolutely.
But a couple months after him leaving, some guy messaged me on Facebook, literally pouring out his heart that my husband is having an affair with his girlfriend and he doesn't know what to do. And I'm his last resort. And I'm like, how on earth did you find me? So apparently he must have spoken to this girl about my name and me being a makeup artist in Jamaica. And so he Googled makeup artist in Jamaica, Dawn, and I came up and he sent me a message. And I think for me was the beginning of the end. I think that in my head, I was like, all right, so you went away so we could have a fresh start. But the first thing that happened within a couple of months is another affair. And so that was 2016. And then January 2017, I drove myself to the hospital because I was just having pain, just pain, and I couldn't figure it out. And when I called two of my church sisters and asked them to meet me at the hospital. Yeah. And so they meet me at the hospital. And when I got there, the doctor checked me and apparently she couldn't find anything wrong with me. And she told me she was going to sign me up for psychiatric evaluation. And I begged her, I said, if I go see a counselor, will you not put that on my file? And she said, okay, tomorrow you need to go see a counselor. Wow. So that evening, I went home and I looked in the mirror. Yes. And I started telling that girl that I was sorry. I was sorry for not taking better care of her. I was sorry for just allowing everybody to treat her the way they did. I just started apologizing. And the next day, I called a counselor who I know the person through him, because I wanted somebody neutral. I didn't want somebody who probably was just gonna take my side per se. I wanted somebody who was going to remain neutral in the situation. And that's one of the reasons why I never really talk about the things that I was going through. I didn't want too many voices in my ear. I wanted to ensure that whatever decision that I made, I could live with the consequences and not regret because I felt pressured because this one says this and that one said that. So I started seeing a counselor, and about a year into, I know this, there was no turning back. There was, based on other things that were happening. And of course, I have my children and I'm still very careful how much I share because everything that I say can affect them, so I try to be very careful. Yes. But I remember calling my counselor and I said, can you meet me at my office? Yes. I didn't want to go to his office. I wanted to feel a little bit in control. So I wanted to be in my counseling space, and he came. And though I sat in the client's chair and gave him the counselor's chair, but I was in my space where I felt a little bit more empowered. And I told him that I want to file for a divorce. And he said to me, for what I've known of you, I believe you're a woman of God. And I believe that if you get to this place, you must have sought the Lord. Yeah. And he said, just promise him one thing. If I feel any tug in my heart that the Lord is saying this is not of him and not to go through the divorce, just promise him that I wouldn't. And I made him a promise. So it still took me months after that before I actually filed for the divorce. As a matter of fact, I couldn't bring myself to the word. Couldn't call the word. I didn't, because you don't get married to be divorced. It's not an option. Yes. It was never an option for me. but things were just escalating. And yeah, I filed for divorce and went through all that process, court, and just watching the children. I mean, it was just horrific, horrific, horrific. And then within that time, of course, now my focus is just the children and their mental health and how are they coping with all of this. And then my own mental health too. So I wasn't at the business a lot. There were days I would just go in, check off, leave, that sort of thing. Yes. And then I found out that an employee was stealing, and when we finally checked it up, it was over $3 million, right in the midst of all of what I was dealing with.
Oh my God.
And the worst thing, I didn't even fire her for that. I fired her for something else. And then I had to sit at her desk. So I was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Dawn.
So had I not fired her, she was, man, some FBI, CIA stuff. Yeah, it was, the way it was done was unbelievable. You would never in a million years imagine.
Oh, wow. I mean, you're going through the divorce and this big betrayal, right? You're concerned about your mental health. I love the fact that you realize that you believe the doctor, one, because all of us would be like, no, it's I'm in pain. That you went home and you actually took the time to face yourself.
Yeah.
Went to face yourself, speak to your own life.
Yeah.
It brought to me again back to balance. It brought you to a space, okay, I have to now take control of my situation. I have to now look at who I am and work on that person, right? And I love that you do therapy. I applaud you for that you didn't just step back and not do anything. And taking care of the kids and all of this, and then this to happen. How did this derail anything for you?
Oh, wow. It derailed everything. The easiest thing would have been to just start talk bad about the person and do the blame, the blame, you do this. And I don't know how I knew that was not going to solve anything. Like, Kimla, I can't take credit for how I handled anything that I've gone through. I honestly know that I have been handpicked by God. Honestly, I will say that without apology, because I know for a fact that me within myself would have just crumbled and died, because I'm not a confrontational person. I'm not a roadie. A lot of people, I'm not that. And I think that's why people do the things they try to do to me sometimes, because they see that as weakness. But I don't have a weak bone inside of me. I just fight differently. I fight on my knees, And so I was more concerned about my mental health and the children's mental health than I was about revenge or any of that. That was not a part of my thing. But to answer the question, so I found out about the theft in 2018. Now, you remember, before he migrated, it was his job that had the health insurance and all the benefits, because I'm running a small business. There's no guarantee any money is going to come in. So then you're gone, and that cushion has lifted. You're in school. So the business is now carrying all the burdens of the home. And so it just started getting bad. You're falling behind. This bill can't pay that bill. But in my head, but we're making enough money. So then when I really stepped up, that's when I recognized that something was wrong, let go of the person, then I figure out what was going on. So the divorce finally came through. You get the absolute November 2019. Okay. And so January 2020, now I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna brush my behind off and I'm just going to cut down, just downsize and rebuild. And girl, there came COVID.
Yeah. My. Oh.
And I said, okay, certainly you're trying to tell me something. I mean, of course, COVID was for the whole world, but I needed to know what was in it for me, because this is going down. Is it that you want to rid me of everything? I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So the government made that decision for me. Like I'm here waiting, should I close? But the government made the decision that schools have to be closed, and the students that we had in the system, we completed them, but it was impossible to get any new students because nobody wanted to learn makeup or hairdressing or barbering online. So I went quiet.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that as I need to hear from God.
Okay.
I need to hear. I gave away all my furniture, the entire house down to every spoon. I gave everything. I was literally at my bed stopping people. Would you like a bed? I kid you not. I gave away all my furniture. I took my treadmill though. I took my treadmill and my bed, and I moved back home. And that was a very tough decision for me, because I'm like, me a big woman.
Yes.
When I moved back in my mother's house for, but I knew that I needed to step back in order to step forward. And I had no shame in it. Like, I care zero what you think about me, because you're not putting on my butt, and you're not paying my bills, and you're not helping me with my emotions. So you up and now. I didn't care. And what made the decision easy for me, I was talking to a friend of mine, a young man. He's a reader, I'm a reader. So whenever we talk, it's just books, we talk about success books and stuff like that. And I was sharing that, I am going to have to move. I'm thinking I probably need to move back home. And he shared a story with me of his sister who had left home because of the same situation and just walked away from everything, went back to country and started farming. Now she's one of the biggest farmers in Jamaica, right? So when he shared that story with me, I said, oh, so another girl do it before, that means we can do it too. But anyway, I'm in my quiet season now, and I logged out of social media.
I remember, because I couldn't
totally. I logged out of everything. I came off of WhatsApp, and very, very, very few people had access to me. And I just journaled. I journaled all that was coming to me. I journaled all that the Lord was showing me. I watched him remove people from my life, people that I thought were there for me, but they were there to capitalize on the brand. So once the brand couldn't fuel them anymore, there was nothing there for them. And my eyes became open, and I felt like I was seeing the way Jesus was seeing, And another morning in my devotion, I was studying for about a month. I was studying the life of Solomon, and just how amazing Solomon was. And I fell in love with his wisdom. And Solomon has always been my Bible character that I love from I got baptized. But I felt like I couldn't relate to him. I felt he was so brilliant, he was so wealthy, and I just couldn't relate. So this one particular morning, I'm saying, God, I can't relate. I can't relate. And it was so clear. Solomon built my tabernacle first. And I thought, and you need to build my tabernacle.
Wow.
And so I'm like searching, what is that tabernacle? What is the tabernacle? I'm not preaching. I don't want to pastor in a church, But what was happening during COVID? A lot of people were going through depression. The suicide rate went up. And so here we are now. The master's degree what may have for God knows how much years, I never even tell nobody that I have a master's degree in counseling psychology. start haunt me. And I immediately just got registered with Jam Psych. I reached out to the licensor place and applied for my license, and I'm doing all these things. And then the Lord said, you need to start a counseling center. And I put together a proposal for church, and Pastor Garrett loved it because he felt it was right, where it aligned with what God has shown him, because there were so many persons coming to the church, but the church can give Christian counseling, but they can't really give clinical counseling per se. And that's where I would have come in. And so with the help of Real Life TV, my friend Kiki, who for years has been telling me, you need to focus on counseling, so this was like heaven for her, finally. And so her show and the bucket list got us everything we need to set up this amazing counseling center at church. And so the room that was available for this fell under the Bible College. So the name that the Lord gave me was Be Care Center, and the space that we found to use fell under the Bible College, so we call it Life Care Center. So from Real Life TV, where they do bucket lists, 7 person wrote in, and their bucket list was counseling.
Oh, beautiful.
So I was able to help with those persons. And then it just kept going. God just aligned me with some good people. Jamaica Theological Seminary just aligned me. I went over there to work with the 6th form program. There were a lot of young people. I just started working with them, loving on them, counseling them, mentoring them. And so I was able to do my supervised hours, because you need 2,500 supervised hours in addition to the master's degree before you can get licensed. And so all of what would have seemed to have been the worst period of my life, Kimla, was preparation for where God was taking me. So now we not only have Life Care Center, where we still meet people who aren't able to pay for counseling, but I've restarted Dawn Marie Institute. And on one side of Dawn Marie Institute is my private practice. I am licensed, and actually within the slow period or quiet period, did a second master's in forensic psychology. God is good.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And I am so happy that you started Dawn Marie again. I did miss you when you off the planet. I was trying to find you, but I now understand why you had to take that time. And
I had to.
It was perfect, because in the silence, you could hear what God was saying once again. And let's just show us that it's not one thing that you do. The Bible said when you get one talent, he gives you another one. He gives you another one. So it's not like you get one thing and that one thing is it. He has put so much in us, and he's showing that even though one thing may have fallen to the side, it seemed like another thing came face forward. And so now of them are aligned. You're helping people in both ways. And I'm absolutely blown by how God works in our journey and in your journey.
Absolutely.
So out of everything, what you think was, I know we've talked about a lot of stuff, and God has been there the whole time, right?
Yes.
Never left you comfort left. He had never left you without a source to go to. He never left you, your kids, without anybody. He's always been the protector. He's always had that shield around you. And at this point now in your life, and you're looking forward to the future, what are something that you want to tell somebody about not giving up, like overall over everything, not giving up when life throws a wrench at you, hit you in the face, and how to get up and keep on moving. Don't sit down, because sitting down is never going to get to the place that you're meant to be.
Absolutely. And I think you just said it also well. A lot of times we don't get up because we don't understand our worth and our value. So I want to tell somebody that you're necessary. You're necessary. During COVID, I wrote a blog similar. And why I wrote the blog is because people were buying necessities, right? You were buying things that were necessary. And I said to myself, learning makeup is not necessary right now. It's not a necessity when people are coping with so many deaths and so many things, right? And so coming out of that, I say, Dawn, are you necessary? Are you valuable? And I have to answer these questions for myself, because when you understand that you're valuable and that you're necessary, giving up is not an option. You understand? Because you're necessary, you're needed. So you have to keep going. One of my biggest lessons that I've learned is that every day you interact with people, whether it's your children, your spouse, whomever, you're teaching them how to treat you.
Correct.
And I recognize that I needed to start treating me better. If I want people to treat, I have to start treating me better. And that's why I speak so much about self-love and self-care so much, because I think society tells us that if you work 15 hours a day and if you kill out yourself for the children and that makes you a good mother and that makes you a good worker, and that's nonsense. If you have to work 12, 15 hours a day to get that days, then no, where's the balance? And this is why we have so many persons who are burnt out, because society tells you do this, do this, do this. So even with my son, when he was here, I would get up 5 o'clock in the morning, do my devotions and then leave out at 6 o'clock to get to work. But he's home for school, he's online. But I would try to make breakfast before I leave out. And after a while, I'm like, why am I doing this? This is a big boy, and I'm not get up until 7 o'clock. That's 2 hours after I get up. No, and eye awakener for me was I was in Portugal, and he called me, was at 3 o'clock in the morning for me, and he goes, Mom, what's for dinner? And I'm like, are you kidding? That's when I recognized that, Dawn, flip the switch. You're ruining this boy.
Yes.
So I said to him, give grandma the phone. And I said, Mom, teach him to cook some rice for me and some corned beef. It's when I came back him now.
Yes.
He was in the kitchen with me all the time. Good. I will mix the pancake batter one time and I will show you. And I started teaching him. So what that does, it was giving me a little bit more time to take care of me and the things that satisfies my soul. Yes. While he also learned to take care of himself, because one day he is going to be somebody's husband. And that's like another message that mothers who are raising boys, we have to recognize that we're not just raising sons, we are raising somebody's husband, because I guarantee you, most of these men who have failed in their marriages is because their mom has failed them. They have been mommy's boys, so they have never been trained how to make decisions, how to man up, how to lead, how to provide, how to protect, and so I learned a lot throughout, the last 3 years of my life. But the things that I would love to share with persons is that the word of God, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. So when you're on your bed and you feel like you can't get up, you see, and there's so much power in the tongue, and the Bible says this. It says there is life and death in the tongue, right? Now, for persons who are not spiritual and they may not understand Bible and what we're talking about, let me use psychology there, all right? We have the conscious mind and we have the subconscious mind, okay? So the conscious mind are those things that we plan. So for example, the thoughts that we plan. So for example, if we should use a field in your backyard and you plant herbs, if you plant carrot and pak chow and all those things,
Yes.
the subconscious mind, which is like the soil,
Yes.
its only job is to put form to what you sow.
Right.
So even if within those herbs you sow a patch of poison ivy,
yes,
the soil does not know that poison ivy is not good. It doesn't know that it is going to give you back poison ivy. So when the Bible says, what a man thinks, he becomes. I mean, we see all these books out there, Think and Grow Rich, As a Man Thinketh. It's all Proverbs. It's all Bible. God has already left those in his word to strengthen us.
Yes.
So as human beings, we have the ability to decide what we put in our conscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why you will hear persons talk about your affirmations.
Yes.
I am. You know, when Moses was to go back and to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt, he asked God, who should I say sent me? And God says, I am. It means that whatever you want him to be, I am the provider. I am the healer. I am your strength. I am. And so the mind, the subconscious mind will put form to everything that comes after I am. So if all you keep saying is, I am poor, I am sick, I am never going to do this, I am, guess what? The subconscious mind doesn't know that that's not good. It is going to find ways and means to bring that forth. But if you get up every day and you said, I am wealthy, I am smart, I am confident, I am rich, guess what? It has to bring that to you. Opportunities keep coming forth, you know, and so you have to speak life, because God has given us power within our tongue. The same power that raised Jesus Christ from the dead is the same power that lives inside of me and you. So what we need to do, we need to exercise that power and remember that the external factors do not affect the things that God has said over your life. Sorry, I kind of went into preaching mode right there.
Okay, that's okay. So I'm so happy that we got to have this conversation, getting a little bit into your business. But I've learned so much about you, about your journey as well, and what has kept you together, what has caused balance for you, and your situation that keeps evolving, and you becoming so much more every time than you ever imagined that you would be. And so much more is in store for you because of your attitude, of the way you're looking at things, at the way that God speaks to your heart and your mind and your soul and your body, and you keep on moving and doing the things even when they seem impossible. And I am so wonderfully blessed by your life story. And
thank you.
I love it that we talked about today. We will catch up on that another time as life goes on and proceeds, and you can do all the things that he has in store in your heart.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So talk to you later.
All right, guys. Have a great rest of the day.
You too, hon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.